The masterclass is a chance to see for yourself firsthand how a productive garden space operates. That means day to day, through the season, and just to really capture what it means to really take on gardening as a lifestyle.
Thank you all for coming out. I'm really excited to do this. We had our first one in March and it went amazing. Like literally everybody at the end was like, when is the next one? So our intention for the weekend is to learn about growing food at home, and that I found that throughout doing this for 7 years, every day gardening, farming, and different applications, that planting leads to abundance. And I just want to really crystallize that for you guys. A lot of people who've never gardened before, like I didn't growing up, don't understand the concept that planting really is the key. And we're gonna kind of ingrain that in ourselves today. This is for you guys, it really is. You guys all, we all ended up here today, not by chance. We're all seeking something. This is your guide to really growing food at home for life. I kind of made this curriculum based on my experience, and I just want, this is kind of for you guys to have as a reference guide, you know? Typically, what I've learned working on farms is that 30-inch rows make the most productive. So as you can see, 30 inches, then 1 foot walking path. Sun is so important for veggies. Growth, coming back when you cut it back, production, but you just send everything back to the earth, you know? And look, so this was initially lawn. You go under grass here in Florida, it's like sand. How you get all this is you keep adding organic matter, like mulch and compost, which is just really black soil, really good organic matter. And you keep feeding the space. I've literally brought 1,000 wheelbarrows over here in the last 2 years to make it amazing growing space, right? This was standing straight up, the orange sherbet, all the branches were it's like a column. And look at it now, it's we're getting it to grow this way instead of that way. So this is super important when we're taking care of clients' trees. We really encourage them to keep it stout, where you're gonna constantly get mangoes right here. And again, they're not 30 feet in the air. The pumpkin coming out of the compost, isn't that cool? I didn't even plant that. No, that was a compost, just came out. Found that the more organic matter you place on an area, if you top dress your garden each year, you're gonna have minimal nematode issues. You can leave them at bay. So it's not some people oh, I have nematodes, I can't do anything about it. There are ways to remediate it.
Let's create abundance together.
This is a little bit different than Italian basil. It's kind of astringent and not something you'd want maybe on pizza, or you might. But kind of the best use is either chewing on it during the day, and it's an adaptogen, so it's brings the stress, it kind of balances you out. It's a medicine more than it is a food. But it's sometimes weird because it's kind of the same thing at the end of the day. Because when you spray, you kill not just that thing you're trying to kill, you kill everything else. I stick it in about halfway. You just want to make sure the nodes, where the leaves are coming out, it's kind of like a node, you call it. That's kind of where the roots are going to come from usually. So you make sure at least one node's under the soil. Boom, you got longevity spinach in 6 weeks. When you're propagating cuttings, they like to stay really wet. So not submerged in water, but every day you want to water. The green beans, this is how I do. I 3 rows. If you had a wider bed, say you had a 4-foot bed, I'd do 4 or 5 rows. And then I would mark where I end, what I did, and it's just visual. Cool, yeah, that's planting. I'm really adamant about getting across that design and knowing what you're doing before you get started is so important. because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a client, they're like, I need help with my avocados, come over. And I show up and they're like 4 foot spaced out and they're like lanky and they're literally like tree, like long term, that's not gonna make sense. Things need space, so I tell them like maybe thin it out to 1 tree and then we'll plant one 15 feet apart and like ensure it does better long term. And it's just like in your garden, like you wanna think like future, like long term. Like how is this plant gonna react in a year, in 3 years, in 4 years, next week. So design and just being really purposeful about everything, really important.
Man, have I ever seen passion before. I mean, these people care about what they are doing. They have a purpose when it comes to growing. This is how you live a life of abundance. You share it.
Guys, thanks for being about it. We're not gonna let the virus stop us from breaking bread. This is human.
Class is done and it was great experience, and I would recommend it to anybody thinking about growing food.
I found out that people can't really do something until they see the model for themselves. Then it just clicks, and that's why I love to bring people into my urban farm to really get them to see what growing food each season is all about. Because a lot of people don't experience that. It's a beautiful way to bridge the gap, to teach people like, okay, you don't know anything about anything, that's okay. Like, we have the resources to get you to a comfortable place where you're gardening and feeling good about like how to operate in your vegetable garden.